All right, so a lot of people that have been leaving comments about shit recently, with little shorts I've been putting on YouTube and all that stuff, obviously being angry and, having issues with somebody. And if you pay attention, you could tell it's really with my family. And a lot of people have been commenting, hey, that's jacked up. Like, all families get mad at each other, but you shouldn't be, it shouldn't be that way. Well, maybe you're right. Your opinion's your opinion, but I don't think that y'all really know the background of my family. So I'm gonna state a little bit on this video why I have issues with my family. You take it from there, man. Judge me how you want to judge me. I hope that you guys will like and subscribe and follow me. Man, I try to be honest, but if what I'm saying is something that offends you or gets under your skin, then I understand that, man, respectfully. But I'll explain, some of the issues that I have with my family. Probably not going to get so much into the modern ones, maybe a few. And I'm not going to say anything specifically about anybody in my family or specify who they are, because I just don't want to, cause those kind of issues and shit. But hopefully, man, you guys can understand a little bit. So, number one, both sides of my family are deeply Roman Catholic, right? Deeply rooted in the Roman Catholic Church. But my issue with the religious aspect of my family, and I am Roman Catholic. I came back to the church after some years. I did leave for a while due to my own issues, but a lot of those issues that I had came from the fact that both sides of my family, I feel like, are only with that Catholic persona when it benefits them, right? But when that persona, is like, well, wait a minute, you do this and the word says this, you know what I mean? Then they like, oh, no, like, that doesn't matter, No, you're not gonna teach faith or live faith, you know what I'm saying, when it benefits you. If you're gonna be faithful the whole way. My parents were never married. They had me in high school, separated shortly afterwards. Basically, my mom, she came from an adopted home situation where my grandparents were really good people. They were great to her. But my mom had a lot of things wrong with her, and that stuff really ran, into her adult life. It still does. She probably really honestly shouldn't have ever been a parent or had kids. Obviously it's not my choice or my place to put judgment, but she wasn't a great mother at all. Basically when I was a little kid, didn't know who to believe between her side or my dad's side, because everybody would tell me different things. You know what I mean? Of course, I ended up having a lot of issues myself. You know what I mean? Anger-wise, educational-wise, all these kind of things. But, like, it just, you come from that kind of situation. People are telling you different things. You're a little kid. You just want a family. You want people to love you.
In a quarter mile, turn right after Tire Country.
You want people to love you, man. That's what it is. And everybody is using you as like a pawn in a war. You know what I'm saying? Like, my dad's family would just constantly say the most horrible shit about my mom's family. Truthfully, I hate to say it, a lot of it ended up being truthful, except for my grandfather on that side. That's one person I will say that I am sorry for a lot of the choices I made, and I know he'd be disappointed in me. And that man,
at the light, turn right onto Western Boulevard.
That man was so good to me, But anyway, a lot of the things they said unfortunately were true, but still, you don't say that to a little kid.
Continue on Western Boulevard for 3 miles.
My mom disappeared for a whole lot of my life. She wasn't there. She didn't want to be in my life or care about me. By the time that she tried to come back into my life, probably out of some kind of feeling bad for herself with a lot of stuff she was dealing with on her own, she was just terrible to me. And been remarried a dozen times, had a bunch more kids by different fathers, all this kind of stuff. One of her best friends, when I was getting back to knowing her and she was hanging around, ended up becoming a child molester. later on in life, and I never really told anybody until recently, but I always felt when I was around the guy like he was trying to kind of do something with me. You know, he liked little boys and stuff. I held that in for a long time. Nothing got done with me, but it was a very angering situation. And you know, when I finally let that out as an adult, I was told by my family, "Oh, you know, there you go with the drama. You know, trying to do all this again. You know, you're trying to make everybody feel bad for you." That's what it's always been my life. When I deal with something, and I've dealt with a lot, it's always you're trying to make everyone feel bad for you. You know, hang on one second. All right. So that's always been like a massive issue. You know, when I was younger, I got into a lot of problems with the law and stuff because I just got to a point I just didn't care anymore. You know. My family basically regarded me as a second-rate citizen, and they were, you know, my dad's family especially is very well-off people that, you know, one of them is a big-time lawyer and all this stuff. You know, that came into play later on when I got older, found out a lot of things about my situation, basically how he kind of bullied my mom out of my life. So really me not having a relationship with my mom is really due to both their choices, you know. I just got treated like straight crap, you know. Got forced to basically try to be a type of person that they wanted me to be, not who I was, you know. Could never have my family be proud of me for who I actually was. You know, my father, all right. You know, I grew up with his stories about being in the military and stuff like that. That's part of what made me want to be in the military. And I found out later on in my life a lot of stuff wasn't true. You know, he did join the military. He did his thing for a little bit, and then mental health issues got him pushed out of the military. So, you know, he didn't do all these things that he said he did. And then by the time I'd kind of find this out, you know, and he still denies it to this day, I'm in a career where I actually have done those things. I have lost my friends. I've gone overseas. I've seen terrible stuff in this world, man. And a lot of that really internally was because I wanted to be like my dad. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be a soldier like my dad and make my dad proud. You go through all these things and then you find out that's not even who your dad is. You know what I'm saying? So catch me in part 2 and I'm going to keep explaining.